Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Fossil Cup, which is going to be available for actually 2 weeks this time around. So you're going to have this cup for 2 weeks available. And for the Fossil Cup, we're going to have a 1500 CP as a limit again. We also, I think, had it before as an Ultra League variant, but it's still for Great League today. And it's going to be a Water, Rock, and Steel type only. Tomorrow this cup going to start, so definitely stay prepared for this one as you can take a look at the meta right now. Taking a look at the meta, we're going to see that's a very small meta for this cup. You're going to have something like a Registeel, Swampert, but you see already on the right side, there's like the rankings there. You start at 95 and you're gonna go pretty fast there down there already at like Jellicent at 85. So like the meta itself is going to be a little bit narrow. Basically all the Pokemon that you see on the screen are like the main meta, but there are going to be some other Pokemon that are going to be interesting as well. And in terms of buff Pokemon here for this meta, for example, we're going to have the Cracks, I know, a little bit higher. The Wishka is going to be a little bit higher. The Alone Sandslash is now going to be entering the meta. Same goes for Cradily, is going to be a little bit better with Rock Slide now. Galissapod is in there, which is going to be an interesting Pokemon where we're also going to have a team with it. But other than this, this is going to be basically a very similar approach to the meta than last time. And yeah, this can get RPS a little bit fast here because you have like grass type Pokemon, you have water type Pokemon, you have steel type Pokemon, so like you always have like this kind of cycle. But there are also a lot of Pokemon that makes it a little bit faster. For example, Lucario is a very strong Pokemon for this meta, or even Escavalier, that's going to speed up the process a little bit. It's definitely more accessible than the Open Great League, as you see here right now already. There are way less XL Pokemon available. You mainly have like Registeel is the only real legendary here, and the rest is Pokemon that you're going to be able to just find in the wild. Okay, Katana is also an Ultra Beast, but you don't really need it. So it's going to be a little bit more accessible than, for example, the Open Great League, and we can move right into the first team. First team here going to be around the Escavalier. Escavalier is going to be one of the best Pokemon for this meta right now. This Pokemon going to have access to Drillrun, Megahorn. Actually, I really enjoy the Pokemon here as well with Acid Spray in this meta most likely, because it's going to be very cool as a Saysop. But in the lead, Megahorn plus Drillrun does make the most sense. Pelipper as a Saysop going to make a lot of sense as well, especially with Ferrothorn on the back. For this team as well, you don't really have to like keep the lead alive. There's not really an ABB line here. So what you would be able to do here as well, for example, you see already there is a double weakness to fire on 2 of the Pokemon. There's only 1 Pokemon that have fire type attacks, which you're going to see later on as well. But you can just stay in most of the time in the lead, try to play it out, and then in the back you're going to have a very great core of Ferrothorn and Pelipper as well, which is going to make a basically perfect core as well. You can also use, instead of the Pelipper, the Jellicent, which is going to give you also a lot of options there. But as you're going to see here right now, especially the Escavalier is something that you're going to encounter quite often, being able to beat nearly the entire meta. Going to be a very interesting one. What is also going to be interesting is going to be the next team, which is going to be most likely my favorite team from last time as well, and like one of the most overpowered teams of them all. We're going to have here the Lucario as a Saysop, but you can use either. Like you can either use the Escavalier, then with Acid Spray in my opinion as a Saysop, or the Lucario. In the lead we're going to have the Pelipper here. You can also use again the Jellicent. But Lantern also might give you some options against other Pelipper as well as against other Lantern, which might make it a little bit more interesting for you as well. So both of them are going to be fine. With a Lantern, you're going to be a little bit weaker against Swampert and General Mudboys though, so keep this in mind. That's why most likely Jellicent plus the Pelipper might be the better picks for this team, but still should work out fairly well. You see as well, during the teams also for most likely, okay, for this one not really, but a lot of times I don't really have other options available because the meta is very narrow. You don't really have all the other options here, but here for example you have some other options. We're going to have the Registeel, Galissapod and a Rakuen line, which I'm already played before in the Open Great League. This is going to be available here again as well. A Raquanet in the back might be a little bit better than Swampert, but you can also use the Galissapod as a Sayswap and the Pelipper in the back, which I feel like might be also a very strong team. But as you're going to see here, the only issue is really the Registeel, which is going to be a neutral matchup with your lead anyway. But other than this, you're going to be fairly fine here. And yeah, basically your lead going to be able to counter all the flying type Pokemon, where the Registeel just excels a little bit more than, for example, the Galarian Stunfisk here. but then you're going to try to just bait out something with the Galil support and try to sweep endgame with your Arachronid. Very strong team on paper, again, should work out fairly well as well. Let's take a look at the next opponent here. The next team here. I'm not commentating battles here right now, I'm commentating teams right now. We're going to have here the Mudboy team, team number 4, going to be again Pelipper in the lead, a very strong Pokemon in general in this meta, but Swampert and Quagsire. Yeah, Quagsire, of course, you say swap, having access to Stone Edge, giving you access to a move that's going to be able to hit flying type Pokemon, which is really nice. You can also have the Wishguess in the back. You can also run the Ferrothorn in the lead, which is going to give you some great coverage as well. Better against also Pelipper itself, but also against Credilli. The Ferrothorn just going to be able to be a little bit better. Ferrothorn in this meta, you usually run at least with Thunder, because it's going to be able to give you a better coverage for Pelipper, for other flying type Pokemon as well. So this should work out fairly well. Again, Mudboy teams are always fairly strong. Team number 5 now. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this one here right now. This is, I think, a team that I stole last year. I don't know really from who I did it, but I definitely made a video about this team last year as well, with the Berserker in the lead. It's mostly better nowadays if you would go for the Sandslash in the lead for this meta here, but still we're going to take a look at this one. Here we're using the Jellicent as a safe swap as well for this team. Back in the day we actually had the Bubble Beam variant for this Pokemon. Now we have, of course, Surf available, which is usually a little bit better. And we're going to see now in the back as well, again, Pelipper or Mantine. Mantine is basically a different Pelipper, so yeah, Pelipper in general I think is a little bit better than Mantine though again here, because Mantine lacks coverage for the Jellicent, which is something that definitely you kind of want to have here, so that's why Pelipper is usually the better Pokemon. But here you can either use the Berserker or the Alone Sandslash in the lead and you should be fine. Also against Registeel you definitely have some play to win this with Close Combat, or also the Drill Run, of course. Let's take a look at the next team here. Team number 6 is going to be a double Steel line. Again, Pelipper in the lead is just very strong. Here we also have the Jellicent again. Basically an anti-fighter in the lead. We have the Sacer over the Galarian Stunfisk, which is going to get to the Earthquake fairly fast. Should be able to get a shield against the Escavalier or the Lucario, bait them out, and then try to sweep endgame with the Registeel, which is one of the, if not the best Pokemon in the current meta here right now. So this team again should work out really, really well. As, Registeel is very overpowered. Sacer here of Galarian Stunfisk is going to be very strong as well. The lead that's going to be able to beat the Swampert, so maybe Pelipper is again a little bit better for the Swampert matchup. But Jellicent's still going to be able to win this one as well. So definitely a strong team here again for team number 6, as we can move on to team number 7. Team number 7 going to be sliding some rocks. We're going to have some team here with Credilli. Credilli is going to be very decent, especially in combination with the Escavalier, because Escavalier kind of loses against something like the Jellicent, like in general like water type Pokemon like Swampert or something like the Pelipper, and you have like a very decent safe swap here in the Credilli, allowing you to go ahead and get some damage on those flying and water type Pokemon. But you also have the Pelipper, which is going to work out fairly well. What you actually could do is also put another grass type in the back there, giving you a little bit of better options against something like the Lantern if you're going to struggle against this. But actually you have 2 answers for Lantern anyway, because the Escavalier has Drill Run, and because of course the Credilli going to have a great matchup anyway, so it should be fine. This team definitely looks very nice on paper and should work out very well as well. You're going to be able to bait out something like a Registeel as well, the Credilli, that you don't want to face with your Pokemon there in the back, the the Pelipper. So let's take a look at the next team, the Algorithm. We're going to have the only pseudo fire type Pokemon in this meta here right now, which is going to be Mawile. Shadow Mawile going to be a very interesting Pokemon to take a look at as well. Most likely gonna make a video about this Pokemon, as a Fire Fang variant of Mawile is going to be a very strong Pokemon for this one, going to burn down the Fossil Cup, as there are a lot of Pokemon that are very weak to this Pokemon, like the Registeel, like the Lucario, the Escavalier. There are a lot of Pokemon, Ferrothorn, all of them that are going to be very weak to Fire-type Pokemon, and here this is basically the only Fire-type Pokemon there. There's still a Magcargo that you could run as an actual Fire-type Pokemon, but I doubt that this will be very strong. This here will definitely be way better. So we're going to have here Quagsire Safe Swap. We can use again the Pelipper as well. Quagsire going to give you a little bit better coverage against the Lantern, which is the main reason why we have it in here. Also going to be a little bit better against something like, I don't know, like Lucario. You're going to be able to spam them And it's just a very strong Pokemon in general. I don't think I have to tell you how strong Quagsire is in the current meta, but in the back then we're going to have Cordilli. You can also use something like the Ludicolo, which has Razor Leaf and going to be able to just farm down those Swamperts. Ludicolo is also very cool because of that. You can just completely lock in Swamperts or Quagsires with this Pokemon. So very strong Pokemon here as well indeed. You can also use Katana if you have one, but I just purposely didn't really include Katana here because yeah, a lot of people don't have a great League variant for this build. Definitely an interesting Pokemon to take a look at as well, but here, this is going to be team number 8. Team number 9, though, is going to be now we're gonna go into like the speculation side, but you can actually play it without the Community Day moves as well. Poliwrath in this meta is, I think, ranked 19, which is still very decent, and like ranked 19 without counter, I have to say. With counter, this Pokemon going to be very, very strong in this meta, going to be a core breaker. You're only going to have the counter variant available for like the last 4 or 5 days or something for this meta, so definitely going to take still at least a week for you to get this move. Same goes for Ice Beam on a Politoed, but for Politoed it's most likely better to actually go ahead and go for Earthquake on this Pokemon, so like you don't need it either for this one. And so the combination of the Registeel plus the Poliwrath is nearly perfect for this meta right now, because Poliwrath doesn't want to face something like the Jellicent, for example, or like the flying type Pokemon like the Pelipper, while you are Registeel going to be able to completely destroy them, and Registeel doesn't really want to encounter something like a Swampert where you're going to be able to resist the Hydro Cannon while still doing a lot of damage with counter, but also of course you can generate energy as fast as well with the Mud Shot before. So like this team's still going to work out even if you don't have the Community Day moves yet, because they're not available till the 30th. You're still going to be able to do quite some damage with Poliwrath, a very strong Pokemon in this meta. So here we're going to have another time the Poliwrath here, especially Shadow variant, in a different team here. But again, you can also use this team already just with Mud Shot, because this team definitely still should work out fairly well. We're going to have here the Say Swap of the Berserker, which is a little bit better against the Jellicent. This is the main reason why you want to go for it. And again, Registeel is just a little bit better than the Galarian Stunfisk in this meta, mainly because of the Jellicent. And this is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. It always is a little bit of an effort to do this. Also, if you didn't see my announcement for it, you can now submit like single battles for a top 5 games of the week video, which I'm going to try to also make tomorrow again. So definitely stay tuned for this. It's going to be it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye bye.